Today we're going to be discussing the children of UFOs. So, kids who have had UFO encounters, and I have selected some of my favorite cases. Now, this is an incident that happened in Voronezh in Russia. Okay, it's about 200 miles outside of Moscow. What they claimed was, and this was witnessed by not only, about 20 children, but also a bunch of people in town, all right? Police officers and everything. These giant aliens, a craft came and landed. Out came these giant beings, a huge, huge aliens. One of them, they all look different. Now, one of them looked incredibly tall, but he didn't have a like a neck. It just had like kind of a stump for a head and what appeared to be 3 eyes. Now, this blew up in the media. I mean, this was out over there, but not over here at all. This is in 1989, so it was before, the collapse, or, it was right during the collapse. There was still a bunch of shit hidden behind the Iron Curtain back then. But look at some of their drawings here. I mean, they all draw the same thing. So, I mean, give me a break. Then we have a cop who saw it. He says, I was standing not far from the park when I saw this flying object, the approximate height of 250 meters. And then we have this guy right here who saw it. It stayed at the same height. It did not move horizontally. I was very interested in all that, because it could not be any kind of meteorological balloon. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I just wanted to do the accent. Anyway, let me get back to the description of them. So the other one was another tall, another giant-looking alien, but he actually looked basically human, except he was incredibly huge. And then they also apparently had some kind of a robot with them. Now, this is a description given by everybody: the kids, the police officers, everybody, the townspeople. They all gave the same description. So I don't understand how, I just don't see it being some kind of mass illusion with such weird, discrepancies in the story of, or weird, in the description, like 3 different aliens, but everyone describes all 3 of them the exact same way. I mean, come on. These guys, it's funny because these were the kids, as they got older, they're like, when you look back on it, it's like being in a fairy tale. Like, it happened, but it just doesn't seem real. But it's definitely real. It definitely happened. That's what it's like when you look back on it in a memory. So I really think this is an excellent case. Next, we're going to be discussing the Zimbabwe school UFO. Now, this was an incredible story. In 1994, 62 children witnessed a UFO land and its occupants get out and basically interact, look at each other anyway. And so this was a really intriguing case, and Dr. John Mack heard of this and wanted to investigate. He went there believing that this was a mass hallucination by a bunch of children. John Mack's not just anybody. He is professor emeritus of psychology at Harvard. All right. So basically, he can say whatever the fuck he wants, and he's untouchable there. He's their big dog. All right. So he goes there and he's going to prove the case of what's going on, because he found this interesting that 62 children will come out and say that they saw this. And what happens is amazing. So let's just listen.
You, is that right?
Yes.
What scared you?
The noise.
What noise?
The noise that we heard in the air.
You heard a noise in the air?
Yes.
What was it like? Like a roar or a buzz or a hum, or what kind of a noise?
It was like someone was blowing a flute. It was scary myself. A little object hovering. It was quite big, actually, and then there was little ones all around it. We saw something silver, and then we quickly ran to the logs, and we saw a silver thing, and we saw a man standing next to it.
What did it feel like when he was looking at you?
I felt scared.
It felt scared? What was scary about it?
Well, I felt scared because I've never seen such a person like that before.
Did you see the eyes? What did they look like?
They were going like that.
Where was the pointy part? Was the pointy part in here, or was the pointy part out there? Up there. And what was the feeling when you looked at the eyes?
It was scary.
Mm-hmm. And what scary? Why? What made it scary?
The eyes looked evil.
Evil. Mm-hmm. And what was evil about them? Say what you mean by evil.
It looked evil because it was just staring at me.
With what? Staring at you as if what? As if to do what?
As if it wanted to come and take us.
As if it wanted to come and take you. That was the feeling you got?
One was running in the trees, and the other one was running across the ship, because there were also trees here.
Mm-hmm. The eyes were like more pointed as they came in toward the center of the head, is that?
No, more circular. And this was all black in here.
All black. Now you've made pupils. Did they actually have pupils or black?
White.
What?
The pupils were white like that.
You saw white in the center?
Yes, like that.
Was he near the silver object, or was he far
That
from
was
it?
on top.
On top of the silver object. Okay.
Notice how he said on top of the object.
Did you look at him?
Yes.
Did he look at you?
Yes, then he gave me the creeps, then I stopped
Gave
looking
you
at
the
him.
creeps. Actually, in your drawing, you showed him standing up, didn't you?
Yes, I had to draw him standing up because I couldn't draw him sitting.
Now we're going to stop right here for a second because this little girl in particular, I want to discuss something about. I believe that she is in fact an abductee, and I came to this conclusion after studying this incident. I came across some footage that was taken about a year and a half after this event, after this filming, okay, by a completely different UFO investigator, and some footage of her when she was much older, in her 20s or whatever. So just by going off of what she says, everything indicates to me alien abduction, and it's fascinating to hear her describe everything, because I mean it's something that anyone in the UFO field would automatically link with alien abduction, but she's just a little girl. She doesn't know anything about it. Don't forget, in Zimbabwe, it's not like families had TVs out there, okay? The school had one radio, so it's not like it was influenced.
What I thought was maybe the world's going to end. Maybe they're telling us the world's going to end.
Why do you think they might want us to be scared?
Because because we don't look after the planet and the area properly.
Mm-hmm. And is this an idea that you have had before, that we don't look after the planet properly in the air, or did this idea come to you when you had this experience?
When I had this experience.
Mm-hmm. And how did that idea come to you from this experience? This is a little hard, but try to be with me here, okay? How did this idea come to you when you had this experience?
I just felt all horrible inside.
You felt horrible. At what point did you feel that? When you saw the craft, or when you got home at night? Or
When I got home.
You had that horrible feeling when you got home?
Yes.
And say more about that horrible feeling, Lisa. What was it like?
It was like in the world, all the trees will just go down and there will be no air and people will be dying.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
And
common
those
theme
thoughts
repeated by
came to
abductees.
you. Had you had those thoughts before this experience?
No.
No. And
Never had it before.
how did those thoughts come to you? Did they come to you from the craft, or from
From the man.
the man? And the man, did the man say those
alien.
things to you? How did he get that across to you?
Well, he never said anything. It's just that the face is the eyes.
What was the sense you got from those eyes?
He was interested.
What was the sense you got from those eyes?
He was interested. Was interested.
Ooh, that's fucking creepy. He looked interested. That's so neat. I mean, how crazy is that? All right, now this is footage taken a year and a half later. So listen to this.
This is what it looked like. And then he saw it well and he said, Michael, I think you're telling the truth now. And then that's all he said of it, and that's all.
Who was scared?
She asked who was scared.
Not all of you, huh? Who was dreaming about it since then?
Who was dreaming about it since
In a
then?
bad way?
In a bad way.
Yeah, in a bad way? No, let me tell me first in a bad way. Why? You have nightmares about it?
Yes, I used to, but then after about a year I stopped dreaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
I dreamt that the same one I saw without hair, he came into my bedroom and he took me from my bed.
Now this is the same little girl from before, and a year and a half later, she's saying that she has dreams about the same exact alien she saw, that he comes into her room and took her from her bed. Okay? Now keep listening.
Did you dream that?
Yes.
Yeah?
And then I just screamed. I woke up and screamed.
What did your mom say?
Well, she just kept on saying it was a nightmare. She didn't really believe me.
So did you notice what she said right there? She said that the man came in and took her. She woke up screaming and she told her mom, but her mom didn't even believe her. Meaning that she didn't think it was a nightmare. She believed that it happened to her. And her mom didn't believe her, because her mom would believe her if she just told her, if she thought it was a dream. She'd be like, yeah, that you had a bad dream. But she didn't. She said she didn't believe me.
I was scared. It was making me all scared. My heart was now starting to pump faster, and it was making me all woozy now.
Heart started to pound faster, and it made him all wizzy from looking at his eyes.
My heart kind of went faster and then slower and then faster and then slower, all at the same time.
Wow.
Sometimes when I'm going to bed, I feel very scared. I feel like it's inside the house.
Here's that
standing
girl
by
again.
my bed.
You mean like it's like, you mean the creature or the craft?
The creature.
The creature. She feels like it's in her house, standing by her bed.
What time of day did this event occur?
At break time.
Look, she knows what
In the
she's talking
morning or
about.
Lunch break.
Morning.
Morning break. And what were you doing at the time?
Well, I was playing in the playground, and then we saw something silver, and then we quickly ran to the logs, and we saw a silver thing, and we saw a man standing.
She doesn't even know what to call it. She
They
calls
were
it a
just
silver
like
thing and a
looking at
man.
all of us. They seemed to have stiff necks. They didn't seem to move their necks like we can.
How tall would you guess they were?
They're about my size.
About your size.
It looked evil because it was just staring at me.
With what? Staring at you as if what? As if to do what?
As if it wanted to come and take us. His eyes looked at me as if, I want to.
I want you.
I want to what?
I want you.
I want you.
Yeah.
What was the sense you got from those eyes?
He was interested.
In you? Did you, or just
No,
in
in
general?
all of us.
In all of you, right. And what do you think that interest was?
I don't know.
You don't know.
They weren't frightened of us. They actually came near. And they didn't try to attack.
They didn't act in an unfriendly way.
No. Then he was looking at me back. I couldn't just keep on looking at him, so I had to stop and I looked sideways, so he couldn't keep on making me feel faint. I think they want people to know that we're actually making harm on this world, and we mustn't get too technologed.
Would you like to see him again?
Yes.
Would you like to see him again? She said yes.
Do you think you might see him again?
I don't know.
And if you saw him again, what would you do?
I'll ask him some questions.
What would you like to ask him?
I'll ask him what is he doing on Earth and what does he want with us.
Wow.
And if someone were to say, well, this is imagination, this is a dream, how is it different from imagination or dream as you experienced it?
Well, it's definitely reality. And anybody can think that it's not true or that we're making things up, but we know what we've seen and I
Right.
believe it. I believe in it because I did see it.
Now, these are the kids 20 years later, after this event. And if
All of
they
a sudden,
were
it was just like
making
images
it up,
going through my head.
I think they would admit it. But this is what they
Message,
say.
trying to communication. I describe it as, I guess, telepathic communication. There was no talking.
I remember being very captivated by the eyes, and in that moment, however long it was, because I have no idea of the time
once
frame,
again.
it was mesmerizing. It was absolutely captivating.
As soon as I saw it, I knew that this was something from another planet or something from out of this worldly space.
People need to know there is
Here's our
something
abductee.
else out there.
I mean, just look at her face. Look at her reaction to this. I mean, it's happened to her. I would bet $1 million on it. Now, what's interesting about this case is Professor John Mack went back and basically came out 100% saying this is totally real, that it's a totally real phenomenon, which caused a huge, huge uproar at Harvard because he is in fact professor emeritus. So whatever he says goes, and you can't argue with him. All right, the school, that's the privilege you get when you become professor emeritus. All right, that's something they give to you. That's your honor for doing so well. And then the rest of the school's like, what the fuck? Well, they were throwing a fit about it until also his friend Rudy Shield, professor of astrophysics at Harvard University, came to his back and said, no, I agree with him. And the school left him alone and let him do his thing and have his conferences on alien abduction. Now, one of the more interesting facts about this case is it's a minor detail, but when you go over the report of this event from the children's testimonies on everything, there was one thing that really stuck out to me, and that is how the aliens got back into the craft and left. And how did the children who witnessed it describe it? They said they floated around the sides, floated up into the air, and dove into the craft head first. Now, this is the same with every kid who saw them leave. They all said the exact same thing. The aliens flew up into the air and dove into the craft head first. Now, as for children making up a story, if you're going to make up a story, you're going to want it to sound at least kind of believable. So why would a kid think that would sound believable? It doesn't. They were just trying to tell the truth. That's what they saw. And I found that really interesting because I've actually heard of that before in another case that I have studied. It is the Cusack UFO case in France. This is back in 1964. Two children, a brother and a sister, were tending some cows nonetheless and witnessed a giant glowing ball and some what appeared to be small children to them running around. They thought it was like neighbor kids, and they asked if the kids had come to play with them, and the aliens were shocked to see them and immediately started to scurry, and they went back into the UFO, into the sphere of light, which then started to twirl its way up. Then the aliens lifted up, they flew up and flew into the ball of light head first. All right, now the exact same description. I mean, come on, give me a break. And when you look at the evidence and the drawings of it, all the people who investigated, they show how this is what happened. All right, that they went into it. So 2 stories involving children watching UFOs come and land, aliens get out, and them, when the aliens leave, they left by getting into the craft by flying into it head first through the top. Now that's just fucking crazy. Okay, yeah, you gotta admit that's just odd. Another thing that was odd about this case was the smell of sulfur. Apparently it had left a smell of sulfur in the air, which was rather strange, but I've actually heard of that happening before in other UFO cases. And so where does that leave us? That leaves me with no doubt in my mind that the kids are telling the truth, and what they say happened actually happened. Alright, so I'm going to leave you guys with this. Remember my last video about the UFOs in the Aurora Borealis? Remember how I told the story about seeing the red aurora come all the way down to the ground, and how we went inside of it and it looked purple and everything like that? Well, after doing that video, it got me wanting to look into it, and I did some research, and I actually found pictures from Indiana of the aurora on the ground. So I'll leave you guys with a couple of those photos. Take a look. Alright, you guys, UFO proof out!
Break it down, motherfucker, when I'm rocking the mic. Now it's time to fight, swing a right, swing at anything you like, and you don't wanna fuck with a motherfucker like this. Now I'm getting pissed, bitch, dump you in a river ditch. Now, break it down, while the sound gone round, calm down, let it lift you off the ground. Get down, motherfucker, yeah, everybody jump, bitch. That's how we break it down when you on the ground. Now, turn around, leave town, kick rocks, motherfucker, or you never be found. Bow down, everybody, yeah, everybody jump, bitch. That's how we break it down when you, I'm a big pimp daddy, smoking on the fatty, straight fucking yo girl in the back of my caddy, patty cake, playing big booty butt shaking. We was all love making, and I love it shaking, making, boy. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you understand, I can give a goddamn. Bring it on, motherfucker, cause I never back down. I was born on the dark side of the playground. No sound, no light, everybody wanna fight. Now I'm all alone on my own, but I do it killing anybody, I'm a motherfucking maniac. Jumping up the bush, giving away for heart attack. Listen to the fact, but you're still getting jacked. So I knock you out, walk away, never see me looking back. No time to react when I'm here to bring the pain. Washing my clothes, gotta hide the blood stain. It's a shame, but you got no one to blame but yourself. You can call me Newport, cause I'm bad for your health. No time to debate, never mind hate. Call me Frosted Flakes, cause I'm so fucking great. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you understand, I can give a goddamn. It doesn't matter if you understand, I can give a goddamn.